Okay, so we don't usually have a comedian in the middle of our patient education conference, but today we have a very, very special guest. And it turns out there is a neuroendocrine patient, neuroendocrine tumor patient, who is also a very well-known comedian. And through our presenting sponsor, Lexicon, we were able to have him with us today. Steve Mazan is local to Los Angeles. He's a neuroendocrine patient, and I want to invite everyone to go online. If you're Amazon Prime, he made a movie called Dying to Do Letterman. And it's an excellent documentary of his diagnosis and his entire story and journey to get on the Letterman show. And I'll leave it as a cliffhanger. Don't want to spoil the ending. But it's a great, especially for it's a great movie, but it's a great movie if you're a neuroendocrine patient to really relate to some of the things that he's gone through. So please welcome our speaker and keynote speaker, Steve Mazan.
Thank you. Oh, please stay stretching. It feels like a standing ovation then. Thank you. Hey, how about for all the speakers we've heard this morning? How fantastic were they all? Fantastic. Thank you. My name is Steve Mazan. I am a stand-up comedian. They've also asked me, though, as your keynote speaker today, to maybe provide some motivation before we all go to lunch today. So let's see if we can make sure this is working here. There we go. Oh, it's going away. That's a good sign. That means something's working. Okay, so let's get a little motivation before we head to lunch. Seize the day. Winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. Do not wait for your ship to come in, swim out to it. When the going gets tough, the tough gets going. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. If you can dream it, you can do it. Wherever you go, go with all your heart. If man has done his best, what else is there? Success? Success is going from failure to failure without losing your enthusiasm. At first you don't succeed. Try again. Genius is 1% perspiration. 99% inspiration. I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. There's no substitute for hard work. Willing is not enough. We must do. Live the life you imagine. Do or do not. There is no try. Action is foundational. I can't keep up. Discouragement and failure are 2 stepping stones to think. But to dream all the time. You don't know where you're going. Just do it. Okay. Whew. Couldn't keep up. Those are some pretty inspirational quotes from some pretty motivational people, such as Vince Lombardi, Marcel Proust, and the little engine that could. But it actually, for me, it was a much less famous person, much less inspirational person that I heard quotes like that my whole life, and they never really stuck with me for more than a day or two. I'd put the poster up on my wall. It motivated me for a month, 2 months, maybe 3, maybe the summer, if it was a really good one. It was a much less famous person that inspired me, which a much less inspirational quote. It was actually a doctor here at UCLA, and he said to me, Steve, Steve, you have tumors all over your liver. Worst case scenario, you have 5 years to live. Well, it's not Proust, but it's pretty effective, I'll be honest with you. That was it, yeah. So that was bad news that I got a while ago. I got a 5-year worst case scenario diagnosis. And I have some more bad news. And I know a lot of you have had a similar diagnosis, but even if you're just here supporting someone with that diagnosis, no matter what the diagnosis is or the oncologist has told you about your treatment or your remission or any of that, I have more bad news for you all. You're all dying. You're all dying. Everyone in here is dying. Maybe not as rapidly as others, maybe not in 5 years, but we're all going to die. Unless someone in this room is a Highlander, we're all going to die. If you don't know that reference, may I suggest you spend 2 hours of whatever time you have left watching some awesome Sean Connery movies from the 80s. You're going to love it, I promise. You'll love it. It's fantastic. Okay. I've just given you all the same diagnosis that I had. And I know you've all been, some people in this room, a lot of people have been diagnosed already, and the doctors are here to help us, but even the doctors, they have the same diagnosis. The doctors who spoke today, you're all dying too. So, yeah, so take that. It's coming right back at you. How do you like it? And I'm not gonna ease it in either. I'm just gonna tell you, you're dying. That's it. Terrible bedside manner as a comedian. That's how it works. But listen, you're probably going through the 5 stages that we've all went through, the famous five stages, the Kübler-Ross 5 stages of grief, now that I've given you this news. All right? I'm not a doctor here at UCLA. I'm not even a doctor at DeVry. But this diagnosis is real. All right? So you're probably going through the 5 stages. I can see some of you right now. You're hitting the first stage. Of course, you know the first stage is denial. I can see it on some of your faces. You're like, what? I'm not dying. I'm healthy. I'm healthy. I'm going to get a second opinion from a different comedian. All right? Well, you can try that. See if that works. The second one is anger. Of course, anger. I can see that some of you are already getting to that one. You're at anger already. You're like, what? I came to LACNETS, right, to get some information. Now this guy's telling me I'm dying, and I have to drive home on the 405? This is bullshit. Can we say bullshit? Has anyone said bullshit? Have I broke the bullshit level? That's it. That's the title of this talk, bullshit. That's if you're asking her later. That was my favorite part. Of course, the third step is bargaining. Bargaining, right? Now we can all get in on this, bargaining. Hey, if we're all going to die, maybe we can find a cemetery that has a Groupon. Right? Get some deal. This is LA. Let's get some deals going. Of course, the next stage is, of course, depression. Well, they called it depression, but trust the Wall Street Journal, it was just a mild recession. That's all it was. We're going to be fine. And then, of course, the final stage, acceptance. All right, if we're all going to die, maybe the best any of us can hope for is that we live long enough to get the senior citizen discount at Denny's. Maybe that's the best we could do. All right, so if you've been through this, let me tell you what happened to me when I got that diagnosis, what I did after it, how I dealt with it. Right away, everyone had advice for me when I got my diagnosis. A lot of people, my friends and family had diagnosis. My wife's friend had, she said that I should look at it as a dose of perspective that I was given cancer. She said, you should look at cancer as a gift. A gift. Cancer is a gift. You do not want this woman getting your name in the Secret Santa at the office. Jill, did you get me cancer again? What? I told you to stop giving people cancer for Christmas. Come on. Look, I know you wanted to get me something I wouldn't get myself, but this is ridiculous. Stop giving people cancer. That's a bad one. Then I remember someone else said, this is another saying I had heard even before I got the diagnosis, but it seemed people kept saying it. You know what they said? They said, Steve, why don't you try and live every day like it's your last? All right, well, that seemed to make sense. I was like, all right, yeah, maybe, yeah, seize the day, right? Live every day like it's my last. So I moved forward living every day like it was my last. 2 weeks in, I was broke, in jail, 20 pounds heavier. My family won't talk to me still to this day. That's another bad idea. Do not live every day like it's your last. If it's not your last, there's consequences. There's consequences for that stuff. What kept coming back to me, though, when I was by myself, I started asking myself, okay, if I really, I'm not a worst-case scenario guy, but if I really only had 5 years to live, how did I want to spend that 5 days? And when I was with myself, I always came back to the dreams I had when I was a kid. And one of the dreams I had was to be on the David Letterman show. And that's actually the reason I became a comedian. Now, when this happened, the diagnosis, I was already a comedian. I was 6 years into my comedy career, making a living at it, touring the world, doing stand-up comedy at corporate events, cruises, comedy clubs, all that kind of thing. I was already living a little bit of the dream, but for some reason, I had left that dream that got me into comedy to get on the David Letterman show behind. I was just waiting for that to happen. I was assuming eventually they would hear about me, and then I would get on the show. But now with this diagnosis, I didn't know if I had enough time for them to hear about me. I was waiting for someday, right? Someday. That's a big day for all of us mortals here in that room, right? Someday, there's, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, those are on the calendar 4 times a week. Someday isn't on the calendar, but it's probably our most scheduled day for all of our dreams, right? Someday. Someday it's going to happen. And that's what I had been doing. I'd been waiting for someday to happen with my Letterman dream rather than chasing it. So I decided to spend whatever time I had left chasing that dream. I was going to make someday happen. So that's what I decided to do. I was going to chase that Letterman dream full force again. So I gave myself 1 year to get on the David Letterman show after that diagnosis. I pulled out all the stops. I called out everyone I knew, all the favors I had, other comedians, got the names of all the people who worked for David Letterman, begged them to get me an audition. After comedy shows at comedy clubs, if people came up and said they liked me, I said, okay, well, great, you like me? Here's David Letterman's email. Email him and tell him he should look at me. I pulled out all the stops, and guess what happened at the end of that year? Nothing. Nothing happened. Did not get on. I wasn't even close. Wasn't even close. But I felt good. I felt renewed about having that dream back and chasing it. There was a fire in my heart. So I was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to extend it. So I gave myself another year to get on. And at the end of that year, nothing happened. Nothing happened again. Did not happen. So I extended it again, one more year. And still, no, nothing. Sounds bad, right? And it was. I wish I would have made it, right? But I'll tell you something. Something happened great in those 3 years. Those 3 years weren't spent dying. They were spent living. And that was a big difference. It really, those 3 years, I lived more than in the 20 years before that because I was chasing that dream. Someone asked me right around that time, they said, Steve, I know this was the cancer that kind of got you back into chasing your dream here, this finite time you might have, this 5-year worst case scenario, but why did you stop? Why do people stop? Everyone wants to achieve their dreams, right, to get there. Why do people stop? I didn't want to give an answer right away because I didn't want to just give some cliche answer or some motivational thing. Here's why people stop, right? I wanted to really, because it really hit me. I was like, why do people stop chasing whatever dream they have in life? And I thought for a couple minutes, then a couple hours, and then a couple days. And again, I didn't want to give an answer right away. And then when it hit me, it was a tough answer to come out of my mouth to even admit to myself. The answer for me, my answer, was that we're all taught that life is easy, right? Or life is tough. Right? That's what we hear all the time, right? So someone asked me, yeah, Steve, why do people stop chasing their dreams? And we're told, yeah, life is tough. Life's a bitch. Life is hard. But the truth is, it's not, right? Life's pretty easy. You can go from one place to another just doing what you have to rather than what you want to, right? We live in the United States of America. Most of us aren't going to be starving or homeless. Most of us have friends or family who would help us before that ever got to that point, right? This isn't no condemnation on modern society. It's just about motivation. We do what we have to rather than what we want to. It's much harder to do what you want to make those sacrifices to chase your dream, to get where you want to go. In fact, you kind of go from one place to another. It's easy to go A to B to C, and then you do a job, not even one you hate, just one it might not be your favorite job, whatever you're doing. It's just not the one you want to be doing. That's easy. You can do that. You raise kids, you go from point A to B to C, so you end up at point Z where you die, whenever that might be. And then people get up and they talk about you and they say what a great life you lived, and it was. You probably did have a great life. But it's not inspiring. You're probably just inspired your children and those around you to do the same thing. Wouldn't it be better if we were all inspired? If we all went there, if we were all chasing our dreams, rather than skating through life? And that's probably part of the problem. Skating through life. That sounds fun, right? Skating? I like skating. Skating's fun. How fun does that look? I wish I was there right now. Skating's fun. Who doesn't like skating? German judges. German judges hate skating. That's who hates. But in this case, they're right. The German judges are right. It's not good to skate through life. You need to be putting action to your life rather than just skating from one point to the other. I have a friend, and her name is Joke. J-O-K-E. Literally, your Joke. She's from Belgium. And that's a very common name in Belgium. Joke. It's like John here, I guess. But for a woman. So it's very common there. She's from Belgium. She's probably being deported right now. She lives here in LA. But my point is, we are destined to be friends. Her name is Joke. And she told me a story one time about her dad talking to her about love when she was a teenager, when she was growing up. And he described love not as a noun, not a thing, something to be attained, but rather to think of love as a verb, something to act upon, something to work towards, something to be a part of, an action. And I think dreams are the same way. A dream works the same way. It could be just a thing, that dream, that goal, that wherever you want to go. But it can also be the dream itself, every action, every step that it takes to get to that. And that's the important part. So, like I said, I didn't get on Letterman in that first year, second year, third year, and of course I wish I would have. But honestly, those 3 years were spent, whether I got on Letterman or not. Oh, look, I got on Letterman. Look at that. I pulled the slide up too early, but I got on Letterman. It took me all 5 years of my diagnosis to get on the David Letterman show before he retired. Yeah. And again, I'm happy I made it, but had I made it or not, honestly, those 5 years were the best years of my life just from chasing the dream. And I hope that all of you think about that today. When we I know Giovanna mentioned that there was a movie made of it. It's on Amazon Prime now. It's called Dying to Do Letterman. I'm not bragging about it. 2 filmmakers followed me and made that. They're incredible storytellers. It's free on Amazon Prime if you have it. But check it out. I'm not bragging when I say you'll love it. I promise, especially the interests that we all have in this room that are similar. But when we took it to, what's the word? I'm running out of words. Thank God I don't make my living with words. Film festivals. It was winning awards across the country at film festivals, and people would come up afterwards and they would ask us, oh my God, you've inspired me to pick up a dream that I left behind, something that I put in the past and I was always chasing, and for some reason I've just been saying someday to. So we started handing these things out at the festival, and there were these little buttons that say, I'm dying to, and then it was blank. And then we would fill it in for people. We would write what their dream was. We'd be like, okay, what's your dream? So a lot of people had some, someone was dying to do Kimmel. I met another comedian. Someone was dying to write a script, fly a plane. One lady, she told me she had 2. She goes, will you write me 2 buttons? I have 2. She said, I want to be an author, and I also want to go to Africa. 1 year later, she sent me a picture of this, her book and the button where she went to Africa. Now, there was a lot of great people like that, but there were a lot of people that would come up and I'd be like, okay, what are you dying to do? And they'd be like, and they didn't have an answer. They didn't have an answer. It was fine. I'd give them a couple minutes. I'd be like, well, think about it. Come on, there's got to be something you left behind, something you always wanted to do, right? What is it? And they didn't have an answer. So I kept pressing them. And then finally I'd be like, all right, well, what do you want to do in the next 10 minutes? And then, they'd give me something like, dying to have a drink, dying to eat pizza, dying to get more sex. Apparently, a lot of horny, hungry people were coming to our movie at that point. But I would tell them, go home tonight and think about that. Figure out what that is. And I'd like to give you all the same homework. If you don't know already, no matter how much time you have left, it's not how much time you have left, it's what you do with it. So please figure that out. If you do know, email me, and I'll send you a button personalized with what it is. I'd love to send it to you. But if you don't know, don't go to bed tonight until you figure out what it is you're dying to do. Because really, in life, there's nothing more important than that. There's nothing. Because that way, instead of going to sleep to dream, you'll wake up tomorrow with a dream. Okay? So 2 more things. Again, I just want to wrap up by reiterating, it's not how much time you have, it's what you do with it. And if you're not chasing your dreams, you're already dead. Now, thank you. I know that end was a little dark instead of funny, but I really want to hammer that home. I do want to tell you, I am a stand-up comedian. We are going to do a special event that's sponsored by Lexicon and Zermello, and it's going to be for your whole group here. It's going to be on June 8th. It's going to be in West Hollywood, and it's a free event. It's going to be a whole comedy show, and we would love you to come out and do it. I have some invitations that I will share with you, and also out when you break for lunch here, come over. You need an invitation. You just got to let us know where you are so that we can know it's exclusive. But we would love everyone here, and you can bring someone too. It'll be a night of laughs and learning, okay? So we would love to do that. I would love to do, but I see you're trying to rush, but I'm going to do a couple minutes of comedy since I did some motivation. Will you guys hear some comedy before we go? Yeah. Is that fine? All right. I got to just share this with me. Is there anyone here that messes up words to songs? Is anyone? Okay, you raising your hand in the back. I love that you're admitting it. Lindsay, you too? Okay, I love people that admit it because do you know you're messing up the words? Okay, I love those people. Those are my favorite people because you're just probably singing 50% confidence, right? You're like, I'm not sure if these are the words to the song. I'm not sure, I just want to sing along. I get those people. My wife is not one of those people. My wife is 100% confident she's singing the right words. And she's 244% wrong. Wrong. She's this confident and this wrong, and I have to live in this weird awkwardness in between how confident and how wrong she is. So this is how I learned. If I learned it 2 weeks into dating her, I would have left her. We would not be together today. That's how awkward it is. But I learned it 8 months into dating her. And at that point I was like, oh, I love her, So I was like, oh, I gotta live with this. Okay, let's do it. Here's how I learned. We're driving, I'm driving, she's in the passenger seat, we're on a road trip. Eddie Money's 2 Tickets to Paradise comes on. Do you guys know that? Who knows that by applause? Eddie Money? Okay. If you don't think you know it, when I play it, you'll be like, oh yeah, I know that song. All right, here it goes. Here's the part she messed up. I see some of you singing along. Do you know what he's singing right now? Yeah, you all know. You're smart. Waited so long, waited so long. Those are the real lyrics. He's got 2 tickets to paradise. He's waited so long. Waited so long. She's in the passenger singing, top of her lungs, 100% confident, Lady Falone, Lady Falone. Lady is in a woman, and Falone, as in, I have no idea. I have no idea what Falone is. I've never heard of a Falone in my life. It's not a thing. It's not an object. It's Falcon minus the C. I don't know what it is. It's not a last name. If lady was the right word, which it's not, then a last name would fit there, but it's not. Have you ever heard of someone named Bill Falone? No, because no one's named Bill Falone. So she's singing Lady Falone top of her lungs, and so I go, hey, who in the hell is Lady Falone? And she thought I was being deep, so she goes, I know, right? Who is Lady Falone? Who is Lady Falone? That he wrote this song about so many years ago. Where do you think Lady Falone is today? I go, she's not anywhere, because that's not what the hell he sang. Okay, if I didn't love you, you would be walking Lady La Home right now. All right, listen, I promise you on June 8th, we will have a lot of laughs. And whatever you're planning, June 8th, put that in your books, come up, get an invitation. I know you're going to think about, oh, well, you're going to do something else that night. Don't watch TV. Don't watch TV. It's terrible. I can't watch TV. You ever watch, here's where I can't watch TV. You ever watch TV? Ryan Seacrest is on every single show now. That's why I can't watch. He used to just do American Idol. Now he's got like 100 shows, all Ryan Seacrest. That's why unemployment was so high for a while. Ryan Seacrest had everyone's job. He's got too much stuff. He took the job of my favorite person in the history of the world. How many people by applause know Casey Kasem? Do you remember Casey Kasem? Casey Kasem? Oh, fantastic. Most here. Ryan Seacrest took his job. He used to do the American Top 40, and now Ryan Seacrest does that every week. But when Casey Kasem used to do it, I don't know if you remember, he had this wonderful thing that he would do. In the middle of the countdown, he'd do this thing called the long distance dedication. See, some of you are shaking your head like you remember. Here's what happened if you don't remember. A normal person like yourselves would take time out of their busy day to handwrite Casey Kasem a letter. This is before email. Handwrite him a letter, telling him a sad story, and at the end, request that he play a song for someone in hopes that that person was also listening on that bullshit day when he pulled the bullshit letter out of the bullshit desk. It was never going to happen. Everyone was listening at the same time. But it was always the saddest story you ever heard, right? It was always like, now it's time for our long-distance dedication. Bob from LA writes, Dear Casey, Casey, my grandpa, was my hero. He was an American hero as well. He fought in Korea and lost his leg there. But he wasn't bitter about it. In fact, he had an excellent sense of humor. I'd go over to his house on the weekends, and he'd take off his prosthetic leg and let me hide it about the house. He'd hop around for hours trying to find it, all the fun we had. After dinner, we'd go into the backyard, and he'd hit me wiffle balls with it till the sun went down. Casey, last year he died, but he's still my hero. Casey, could you please play Kenny Loggins' Footloose? Well, here you go, Bob. One more? Okay, one more. This is the final one. Don't forget, come up, get an invitation, laugh and learn, June 8th. I'll be there. You'll see a whole hour plus of comedy. It'll be a lot of laughs and fun. Free parking. I'm not even going for the show. I'm just going because there's a place in LA that has free parking that day. Free parking, free reception for everyone here. Just come up and get your invitation. That's all you got to do. Okay, one more dedication. You guys have been fantastic. Thanks for having me. How great were these ladies, by the way, right? Putting everything together? Okay. Tom from San Francisco writes, Dear Casey, Casey, my family grew up poor. I had to share a room with my brother and a bed. It wouldn't have been that bad, but he was a bedwetter. Casey, I can't tell you how many nights I woke up feeling a warm liquid seep onto my side of the bed. As you can imagine, it led to a lot of fights. When I moved away to college, I never looked back. I realize now it wasn't his fault, and I feel bad. Casey, could you please play Wham's Wake Me Up Before You Go Go? You guys are awesome. Thank you. I'll see you June 8th. June 8th. Come get an invite.